Have you ever felt a chill so cold it felt like icy fingers gripping your spine? It's a sensation that goes beyond mere cold, something that reaches deep into your core and refuses to let go. That's how it started on a night like any other, except it wasn't. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. I was camping with my buddy Mark, deep in the Alaskan wilderness, miles from civilization. We had ventured far from the beaten path, seeking the untouched beauty of nature. We were there to film a segment for Deadliest Catch, showcasing the rugged beauty of the last frontier. The landscape was breathtaking, a perfect backdrop for our adventure. Little did we know we were about to encounter something far more terrifying than any king crab. The wilderness holds many secrets, and that night, one of them revealed itself to us. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of blood orange and bruised purple. It was a beautiful yet ominous sight, as if the sky itself was warning us of the night to come. We sat by the crackling fire, the only source of light in the encroaching darkness. The flames danced and flickered, casting eerie shadows around us. The air grew heavy with the smell of pine needles and damp earth. Every breath we took was filled with the essence of the forest, grounding us in our surroundings. And then we heard it, a low growl, guttural and primal, echoing through the silent woods. It was a sound that seemed to come from the very depths of the earth, resonating in our bones. Fear, cold and sharp, shot through me. My blood ran cold. It was a fear unlike any I'd ever felt, a primal instinct that screamed at me to run. Mark and I exchanged uneasy glances. We didn't need to speak. Our eyes conveyed everything. We both knew that whatever made that sound was not something we wanted to encounter. We were used to the sounds of the wild, but this was different. This was not the call of a distant wolf or the rustle of a deer in the underbrush. This was something sinister, something that sent shivers down your spine and made the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. It was as if the forest itself had come alive and it was watching us. We grabbed our flashlights, the beams cutting through the oppressive darkness. Every shadow seemed to move, every rustle amplified in the silence. Our compass, our trusted guide, spun erratically as if it too was affected by the unseen force around us. We were lost, not just in the forest, but in a realm of fear and uncertainty. Determined to find the source of the growl, we pressed on. Our senses heightened, every nerve on edge. The night was far from over, and the forest had many more secrets to reveal. Than any creature we could imagine. We slowly approached the cabin, our hands trembling, our breaths shallow. Each step felt like a step closer to the edge of a precipice where one wrong move could mean the end. As we neared the cabin, the growling abruptly stopped. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of our own ragged breathing. We reached the porch, its wooden planks rotten and creaking under our weight. The door hung open, revealing a darkness so profound it seemed to suck the light from our flashlights. We stepped inside, our hearts pounding in our chests. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something ancient and evil. The floorboards groaned under our feet, threatening to give way at any moment. And then we saw it, an old well, its stone rim crumbling, its depths shrouded in darkness. The smell was strongest here, emanating from the well like a physical presence. We shone our flashlights down the well's dark throat, but the beam was swallowed by the abyss. Whatever lurked below, it was ancient, it was evil, and it was watching us. We backed away from the well, our skin crawling with a primal fear we couldn't explain. We had to get out of there, get back to the safety of the campfire. We turned to leave, but the doorway was gone. The cabin was sealed, trapping us inside. Panic surged through me, cold and sharp. We were trapped, hunted by something we couldn't see, couldn't understand. We searched for another way out, a window, a loose board, anything. But there was nothing. The cabin was our prison. And then we heard it again. The growling, closer now, angrier. It seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. We were surrounded, trapped with whatever evil lurked in this godforsaken place. The growling intensified, shaking the very foundations of the cabin. The floorboards began to splinter and crack under an unseen weight. We were cornered, our backs against the cold, damp stone of the well. Suddenly the growling stopped. A deathly silence descended upon the cabin, broken only by the sound of our own ragged breathing. And then we heard it. A voice, raspy and weak, whispering our names. The voice seemed to be coming from the well. It called to us, beckoning us closer. Terror threatened to consume us, yet we were powerless to resist its pull. We were drawn to the well like moths to a flame, our fear mingled with a strange sense of morbid curiosity. Section 6. The Search. We inched closer to the well, our eyes fixed on the dark abyss. The whispering grew louder, clearer. It was a woman's voice, filled with pain and sorrow. She was calling for help, begging us to save her. We had to do something. We couldn't just leave her down there. We grabbed a length of rope from our backpacks and secured it to a nearby beam. Mark volunteered to go down first. He was always the braver one. He slowly descended into the darkness, the only sound the creak of the rope and the woman's haunting whispers. The air grew colder, the smell of decay overwhelming. We waited, our hearts pounding, our eyes glued to the opening of the well. Section 7. The Discovery. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Just when our nerves were stretched to the breaking point, we heard Mark's voice. He had reached the bottom. He called up to us, his voice trembling. He had found something. We slowly pulled him back up, our muscles screaming in protest. As he emerged from the well, his face was ashen, his eyes wide with terror. In his arms, he cradled a small wooden doll. It was crudely made, its features barely recognizable, but it was the eyes that chilled us to the bone. They were real. Human eyes staring up at us with an expression of pure, unadulterated evil. The doll was cold to the touch, its surface slick with something that felt like blood. As we stared at it, the whispering began again, this time coming from the doll itself. It was a sound that would haunt our nightmares forever. Section 8. The Truth. We stumbled out of that cursed cabin, our hearts pounding and our breaths ragged. The pre-dawn light barely pierced through the dense canopy of trees, and the doll's chilling whispers still echoed in our ears, a haunting reminder of the terror we had just faced. We never went back. We hastily packed up our gear, our hands trembling as we tried to make sense of what had happened. We hightailed it out of those woods, our footsteps quickening with every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig. The memory of that night was forever seared into our minds, a dark stain that we couldn't wash away. To this day, we don't know what we encountered in that cabin. The air inside was thick with an unexplainable dread. We don't know who the woman was, her ghostly figure etched into our memories, or why her spirit was trapped in that well, a place that seemed to hold centuries of sorrow. And we don't know what became of the doll. We left it there, its eyes seemingly following us as we retreated. In the middle of that godforsaken clearing, hoping to appease whatever evil had claimed that place as its own, the forest seemed to breathe with a life of its own, a malevolent presence that watched our every move. But some things are better left undisturbed, buried deep within the earth where they belong. Some secrets are meant to remain buried, hidden away from the prying eyes of the curious. And some places are best left to the shadows that cling to them, places where light dares not tread. The Alaskan wilderness holds many secrets, its vast expanse a perfect hiding place for the unknown, some more terrifying than others, each one a story waiting to be told. And that night we stumbled upon one that we will never forget, a tale of horror that will haunt us forever. Section 9. Epilogue. I still dream of that cabin sometimes. I can still hear the woman's mournful cries, the doll's chilling whispers, and I can still feel the weight of those eyes watching me, judging me from the depths of my nightmares. We never spoke of that night again, but I know Mark remembers. I can see it in his eyes, the same fear, the same unease. We carry the scars of that encounter with us, hidden beneath the surface, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks at the edge of our world. The Alaskan wilderness may be vast and unforgiving, but it is nothing compared to the darkness that resides within the human heart. And sometimes in the dead of night, when the wind howls and the shadows dance, I can still feel its icy grip on my soul,